Hi, everyone. Mark here, and welcome to the Day Trader's Quest, where I share with you my journey on that path towards discipline, consistency, and ultimately profitability. Each day, I share with you a recap of my trades, and that's what we're going to do today. So let's talk about it. We're on here March 25th. Whew, March 25th. Kind of a rough day. You can see it on the screen already. And by the way, I've actually moved my image down to the bottom left versus the bottom right because I noticed I was covering up the charts yesterday. So we're going to move that from now on. But yes, that was just me trying to distract myself from today. So max loss, max red day, even beyond max. Really, my max is $300, and I broke through that. And that was because I was stubborn. If I'm being honest, that's because I was stubborn. Shouldn't have let this go the way it did, but it is what it is. I am proud of the fact that of two things. One, I only traded once, so one trade and then I was done. So yay. Two, I cut the loss. As you've probably realized from prior videos, I'm holding on to a number of positions because I couldn't cut the loss. And then it became so large that I'm like, okay, these are all momentum stocks. These are all small caps. Someday there will be a catalyst that causes that thing to go up 100%. And my goal right now is that I can catch that and close those out. Until then, my capital is locked up and not a good plan, but it is what it is. But I am proud of the fact that I cut this because I just realized I can't keep doing that. And I have to deal with the loss. It's the hardest part about this journey, honestly, for me, is the loss and the being wrong. So when my plan doesn't work out, and then when I'm wrong, accepting that I'm wrong and actually allowing myself to take the L. Today I did, and then I took it again, and I took it again. I mean, again, it was a big one today. So let's talk about it again. One trade today. It was a trade, another stock I had traded a few days ago, and actually made like $200 on. So I guess I'm net like negative 200, and that is CODX. So CODX came out with some news this morning around 8 a.m. about shipping some medical supplies, some test kits to India. Not really good news, but CODX has actually had a bit of a crazy few days. They were down around $2. They had some news come out that spiked them to $4. They kind of wavered. They kind of came down and back down to close to 2. What was it? 2 days ago on Monday, they had more news that sent them in the pre-market up to like nearly, in this case, nearly $4 again, but it gave it all back right at the open. And so I was hoping that we would, again, we got another pop today. I was hoping that would sustain. It did not. So let me share with you what happened. So here, I'm going to move this over here so we can get a little bit more of the chart. So let's take a look. So actually, I'll just zoom out here and you can see what I'm talking about from earlier. So here was that pre-market one that happened. Actually, it was on Friday. See, it came up. We made it by $4 right before 9:30. 9:30, it started giving it all back. Went from 3 all the way back down to 250. We had a little bit of rough day. And then today, again, some news came out. You can see we had some volume. So here's what happened. Well, what happened was I actually saw this. It was roughly 8, a little after 8. I saw this. And I was like, okay. It was rising on my scanner. And I was like, I know this one put in a move earlier. The odds of this one putting in another move are low. Like I shouldn't trade this because for me, I know that there's probably bag holders from Friday that are trying to unwind themselves then. So anything going up to 250 and above is probably them trying to sell to reduce that loss. I get that. I should have done that. And so actually, I initially saw them as it spiked up here at about 745. I saw it come up and it came up to about 278 and then it came down. I'm like, oh yeah. And then it comes back up, comes back down. And I was like, ooh, and then it started to come back up. And I was like, do we have a reverse head and shoulders? I mean, that's a really nice reverse head and shoulders that's kind of playing out right now. And so I was like, all right. And my mistake was I should have waited for confirmation. I was getting this, right now the high was 79 for the day. I should have said I was a buyer in at 285. I did not. I bought in roughly at about the high, 277. Bought at 277. It wavers for a moment. it actually comes up to about I think what it was 280 like 4. So I actually was green a little bit. I was up like $70. And then it slams back down to 267. That was technically my stop. So this is where I should have gotten off that wagon. This is where it was. It gave me 2 minutes of opportunity to do that as well. I should have got off at 267. That was my stop. I stayed on the bus. And then right here at 8:03, it slams down again, down to 252. Now I'm $300 almost in the hole. And I'm like, oh, crap. So what I end up doing is I average down. And I know I should not average down, but I did. I average down. Comes back up, gets to 260. My average right now is at 263. I'm like, oh, come on, baby, you could do it. It can't get over 260. It keeps hitting 260. There must be a pretty big seller there, and it just can't get over. Smart Mark would have sold right here. He should have. It would have been a $70 loss. It would have been a normal day. Yeah, it would have been, I broke a rule, but it wouldn't have been a $400 loss day. But I was stubborn. And it comes back down and it starts floating around 250. I'm like, okay. And now here's the problem. I start to negotiate with myself. And I think this is one of those signs that one of those issues I need to work with. And so beforehand, I was like, okay, I was sticking my first conversation in my head right now when I got in, and it is that I'm going to hold to my profit target, my loss target. So this is where I would have sold normally, seeing that waiver at about 280, and I've been like, cool, I'm out. It's only one trade, but I made $30, sweet. But I was like, nope, you got to hold to that target. If it hits your profit, take it. But if it hits your loss, take it. And then it hit my loss. I was like, it's kind of holding. It's hovering right there at my stop loss was at 267. You can see it kind of fluctuated. It actually dropped down 64, but it pushed back up. And I was like, it might come back. Maybe we got some support. And then it drops and I don't sell. And then my negotiation with myself is, okay, I average down. I'm like, okay, let's see if I can just break even. I would love to break even. And I'm sitting down here and breaking even. And it doesn't do it. It comes back down to 250. And then I'm like, okay, I want to, let's see if I can get out for like $100 loss, which would have been at like 259. And it just hangs around 250 and then it slams down again to 247. And I'm like, oh, all right, let's see if I can get out. If I can get out maybe at 250. Continues to do that, comes back down. This would have been when it made this surge here at 824, and this was my best opportunity to have gotten out after all this had happened. I should have taken it. It would have been a $220 loss. It would have been bad, but it'd been half of what it is. But I was like, cool. I think my target was 250. I'm like, come on, hit 250. And it didn't. And then it slams back down again. We're sitting at 244. And ultimately, folks, I got out, and I'm glad I got out when I did. I got out at 243. It just seemed like it just couldn't make it over. And so I says, you know what? If you keep holding this, you're going to regret it. So I got out, and I'm glad I did, because you can see it kind of came back up. Yeah, I guess it made it back up to about 244, but it continued to progress down right into the open, where it just tanked back down to 220. And even right now, let's see where you're at today. Right now, it looks like you are at 216. So all said and done, if I would have held this, that would have been a 27 cents difference. That would have been nearly $600 more lost if I would have continued to hold this. So I'm glad I sold, but at the same time, I'm disappointed in myself for not actually selling when either I noticed it wasn't taking off. And I think that's something I got to get better at, is when I notice it doesn't take off immediately, I need to sell. But then also when it hits my stop loss, I have to bail. I just wish there was the ability to automate stop losses in pre-market. That would be amazing because I think it would save me a lot. So it is what it is. Today was a rough day, but I did trade once. I preserved my capital for that mechanism. And at this point, my goal here is to go into tomorrow knowing that, hey, this wiped out 2 days of profit. So, okay, on 2 good days. So the rest of this week, I could make that back. Okay, that's good. So I could technically make that back with 2 good trades that I have. So here's the hope that the next few days I can see that. And right now I'm down 190, I think, on the week. So I would love to be green on the week, but I can't fixate on that. I have to focus in on making sure I just do good trades. So we'll see. So it is a journey. Like I said, it is a journey as we look at today. There's always it feels like one step forward, 2 steps back sometimes, but I've gotta take these as learning opportunities. So we'll go at it again tomorrow. For all of you out there trading, good luck. Can make sure you're following those stop losses. Make sure you're not averaging down. Let me be an example of what that looks like when you do that, and let my $400 giving back to the market be an example. So with that said, folks, again, I wish you the best of luck on your own journey towards discipline, consistency, and profitability. And we'll see you back here tomorrow. Have a good one, everyone.